Hmm, I have an ambition. Hello there, my name is Timothy, and this is the second series of Timothy Preaches. So, what we're gonna talk today is about ambition. Well, each of us has ambition, right? Ambition to be something what we want to achieve in the future. For example, to be a doctor, nurse, police, politicians, lawyers, part in the governments, soldiers, teacher, or accountant, to be flight attendant, to be a pilot, and many other jobs and things that we want to achieve. So it's called ambition. Ambition, usually, our parents ask us what we want to achieve in the future, right? Probably when we are 5 years old or 6 years old. Your parents say, "Hey, what is your ambition?" And we usually answer a typical kid answers, right? Oh, I want to be a doctor. I want to be an artist. I want to be a policeman, a firefighter. It's fine to have an answer like that because we haven't developed our mind for what actually is ambition. But as we grow up, as we, for example, which is our secondary or probably high school, we already understand what ambition is, right? Ambition could relate to what we gonna achieve in the future and what we had. For example, if we want to be a doctor, then we're gonna set ourselves in the process. For example, we study hard and look some resources, do some research, ask our friends, our family, find some links, and go to university and find practice. And also probably we do some courses to be a doctor because we know that to reach an ambition is not instant, right? It's need process. Before we jump to our another discussion, let's look at the verse. So first, we're gonna look at First Chronicles 28 verse 9. Okay, it says that, "And you, my son Solomon, acknowledge the God of your father and serve him with a whole-hearted devotion and with a willing mind, for the Lord searches every heart and understands every motive behind the thoughts. If you seek him, he will be found by you, but if you forsake him, he will reject you forever." So, what is the main purpose of this verse? Verse says that God understands our ambition. He understands what we want. Let's say a doctor. He understands that we want to be a doctor. We want to help people. We want to cure and heal people through our through medication and through our knowledge that we had. So, I mean, if you have an ambition, we must include God in the process to reach our ambition. We cannot just depend on ourselves. We must rely on God and not forsake God. So, for example, if you want to study to reach our ambition, for example, we have a test for university, we have to include God to help us to study and to us to memorize, to understand the topic and materials and others. Because if we forsake God, in some factors, it may be possible for us to be successful in the future. Because in the modern consensus, it's said that hard work can bring us success. That's true. I will not do any. That is true. Okay. So, but the problem is there's a tiny hole in our heart when we success without God. That tiny hole could bring us down, plummeting. Because if we include God, everything that we want to achieve is like God will help us in our difficult situation. Even, for example, the material is very difficult. Oh, how to do this and how to do that, how to understand this and how to memorize and how to do the test. This one must be difficult. Oh, my family probably didn't have a support financially. That is one of the problems that we had in our process, in our reaching an ambition. But remember, if we include God, something unusual miracle will happen, right? For example, if we didn't have a support financially because of family problems or others, God will provide us something which is better from that. For example, God will give us scholarship, or God will send people to help us to reach that ambition. So the first one is we must include God in our process. Okay, so now reach to the second, that flesh desire is an enmity for God. Well, very some of you will confuse what is flesh enmity, right? So we need to know what is flesh desire. What is the relation between ambition and flesh desire? Well, in Romans 8 verse 6, it says that flesh desire is an enmity for God. Desire is what God hates, what we do in our life. For example, so if we are a doctor, we usually have a huge amount of salary, right? If you ask some certain doctors, uh, usually a surgeon or doctors who work at the big hospital, usually they have a huge amount of salary. So when we, for example, we have a huge amount of money now, we're gonna be rich, and it is a successful life, isn't it? So when we are rich, do we still remember our God? Or the successful that we has now let us to be forgetful to God and bring us to the bad habits. For example, we buy expensive things without any purposes. For example, we buy expensive jewelries, expensive houses, and also spend it with friends that is not what God wants, right? For example, we get drunk, and also we get, bad things that happen when we are rich. It's called flesh desire. So flesh desire is not what God wants. God hates flesh desire. Okay, so when we want to reach our ambition, we must be humble at every time, right? Because flesh desire is an enmity for God. It is the second, but the first is God. We must include God in our process for reaching our ambition. So when we are including God in reaching our ambition, we also must set in our heart that we're not gonna forget God when we had a successful life later on, right? So I hope God understand and answer our prayer for reaching our ambition. Then we must remember that God has helped us through the process. So I'm gonna review that. First, we must include God in reaching our ambition. And the second, flesh desire is an enmity for God. So we must have a spirit that fills our body, overflows our mind, that if we have a successful later, we must be thankful to God. So that's it. That is second series of Timothy Preaches for the theme of ambition. Please watch other videos, probably subscribe and liked my video. Thank you for watching.